Welcome back, everybody. Our first guest tonight is an Emmy Award-winning actress known from her work as Shiv Roy in Succession. She recently received a Tony nomination for a performance in the picture of Dorian Gray, which is playing at the Music Box Theater here in New York. Please welcome back to the show our friend Sarah Snook, everybody. I'm so happy to see you again. I guess I just saw you last week because I came to this incredible performance.
Yeah.
And you were under the weather.
I was very under the weather.
And I would never have known watching the show, but then I saw you afterwards, and you did look like you were like a boxer who'd been through like a 20-round fight. Like, yeah. And I mean, this is such a physically taxing show. I can't imagine what it feels like when you sort of embark on it knowing, like, I got to fight through it.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I was on the floor of my bedroom at 4 p.m. that day and was like, do I do the show? I don't know. I just got an IV bag, and can I do this on that? But did it, and with the sort of the caveat that I knew in my head I could stop the show if I needed to. But there's something, you know, is it pride or is it just sort of commitment? You're just like, just a little bit longer, just a little bit longer.
It's really, for those who don't know, it's a one-person show. You were playing 26 characters. 60,000 words, no intermission. So this is not, there wasn't like a thing where you could call in and be like, let the understudy know. Like there's no, that's not an option.
No.
How long have you been involved in this production? I know you did it in London before you came here, but how many years ago did you first start dealing with this?
Sort of toward the end of 2023.
Okay,
so we started rehearsals and pre-recorded bits at the end of 2023. Yeah.
It's an incredible production because you go through, first of all, it's a technical marvel. I mean, there's screens, and here's a time where this is what we see on stage. So there's a lot of projections of you as well. So you have pre-recorded some elements, you're live and all. So you get to act with yourself a lot.
Yeah, those are all me.
And those are all, we can't really get close enough, but you are every single character on stage you see. And by the way, there is the audacity of the different characters you're playing. You know, it's a very serious play, but there is like laughter from the audience because you sort of can't believe, like, oh my God, she's doing this part too?
Yeah.
Like, it's really, was it so fun to just sort of figure out how to differentiate all 26?
Oh, it's so fun. And it's also like, I think people come to see the show because they're like, oh, Shiv. But like, it's so not.
Yeah, it's so funny. You play 26 characters and not one of them is even close to Shiv.
No, and I think for me it's more fun in some ways because I feel like this version of me, 26 different versions of me, feels closer to like me as like the 10-year-old in my bedroom going, you know, I'm doing a voice and like doing some weird character.
Well, that has that nice like, you know, 1890s. It's based on this famous book, so it is those sort of big grand characters that I think we love from that era of literature, and they must be, they seem very juicy to play.
Very, and it's very Wilding as well. Like there's like the Grand Dame, that's one of those characters there, and that feels very, very Oscar Wilde, very, you know, very like proper
I guess when
British.
when you're doing Oscar Wilde work, you feel as though there's permission to really go for it because that is at the root of everything he ever did.
Yeah, definitely. And also, there's so much humor and wit in what he did, and he really became famous because of American love in a way. Like the Brits loved him as well, but there was something that really expanded his fame and his notoriety after he did a tour in America and did like a speaking essay tour, and the Americans were like, oh, you're so funny, you're so good, and it really comes out in this play. I think
it's so funny. He was like, if I can, whoever the first British person who came here was going to like just kill it. But he
like
he had the
voice.
Yeah, like, oh my God, he's so fancy. There's also, you know, I obviously, you know, it's fair to say it's a one-person show, but it is kind of amazing all the other people, because you were really, the choreography and how you're working in concert with your crew, with cameraman, camera people, I should say, because they're filming you live and it's being projected. And it was really lovely at the end because you sort of all come out, and I think we as the audience realize, oh, right, it's been her and like 25 other people this whole time.
Yeah, it's such a shock, I think, as well, to see, because they're all obviously, then their uniform is black, and so they kind of blend into the background. And in the end, I think it's a real shock to see how many people are present on stage that need to be there to make this thing work. And I really do feel their presence. It is billed as a one-person show, but it's definitely a multi-person cast. The camera people are definitely antagonists and protagonists in a way that they give me something to work with.
You obviously, because you are, there are elements of you pre-recorded doing half of a scene and then you live doing the other half. Certainly, it seems to me that eliminates the chance to sort of be loose with the script.
Yes.
Not just in the dialogue, but also you've got to get it done at a certain amount of time because you're about to step on your own line.
I know, and they just will barrel on through. They're not like the nicest actors. Just sort of go, oh, you're having an off night. I'll give you a little bit of space. No, they will keep going. I will just run over myself. There's sometimes it's a 10-second mark here, and you've got to say this line of dialogue, and it's British Wildean prose, 19th century dialogue. It's fast and it's patter and it's complex words.
How do you go about? I mean, I'm assuming you've never had to memorize a piece, anything like this. What was your process to learning, the breadth of it?
Yeah, my daughter was about 6 months old, 4 months old when I started learning it, and I was pushing her around in the pram, and I would take a couple of pages with me and go right, this is the page that I'm learning today. Stupidly, I didn't learn it in order. I didn't go I'm starting at the beginning and I'll learn to the end, which probably would have been better, and it would have meant that when we got to the pre-record moments after we started rehearsals, I would have been more prepared for that.
I feel like that's day one of acting school. They're also, this probably goes without saying, learn from the beginning.
Real rookie era. But I was this part's boring. I'll go to the next bit. Oh, this part's fun.
Yeah.
What an idiot. But what is kind of cool is sometimes on stage I'll find myself doing this piece of dialogue and be transported back to geographically where I was in my neighborhood.
So weird.
Which is such a strange, I want to know how memory works in the brain because there are so many just little synapses.
Are you worried that your daughter has a memory of her mom doing 26 different voices?
There is a photograph of when she came in on the pre-record days. So I was still breastfeeding at that point, and she came in to feed, and I'm dressed up as Lord Henry, so I've got the moustache and the wig and the coat, and I thought, she better just see it all go on so she doesn't get scared. But she was like, yeah, what's up?
Yep, that's fine. You got range.
Milk? Yeah.
I got a mom with range. What can I say? I got a lot more questions. We'll be right back with more from Sarah Snook. We're here with Sarah Snook. Do you enjoy, you get to play a lot of male characters as well. Is that just a fun challenge as an actor?
It is, and it's, most of them are male, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think the balance is mostly male, which is, it's fun, but I think, those are the characters in the book, and it's part of the dramaturgy and the reasons why Kip chose a female to do it. It's a lot of fun.
It's really great. Yeah. It's really fun to watch. You, again, we talked about how everything has to sort of be down to the second, but of course, also on Broadway shows, things outside your control can sometimes throw it off.
Yeah.
You had an audience member had a medical mishap recently.
Yes, which was right at the end, and it's this sort of crescendo climax of a moment. It might have been 7 minutes toward the end, and this adrenaline is pumping.
And it really does, the pace, Yeah,
it's one of those things where people go, I was exhausted for you, but then you got faster. It sort of really ramps up towards the end. And there was this noise, and it was this sort of a haunting noise. And I thought, wow, he's really, really getting into this. Someone's really afraid of this Lord Henry character. And then realized that no, it was a medical emergency, and there was a call for a doctor, and so I stopped the show stop, and walked off. And there was this moment where got off, and my the wigs person and costumer were standing by to try and calm me down because it was actually quite affecting to see what had happened. And they're calming me down, going, breathe, just calm down. He's okay. I'm like, I know, but I have to go back out there, and I have to be back up here. So I will calm down, but I can't calm down too much.
Right. It would be very weird knowing the play if you walked out with 7 minutes left, and you were like, whoa.
Anyway, where were we?
Have you, you mentioned saying that someone was haunted by what was happening. You do feel as though you've seen a ghost in a theater.
I do. Look, this could be wrong. But
it's wrong.
I know. I don't know. Jury's out. In the moment, in the performance of it, I can see the audience because the light reflects from the stage.
This was in London?
This
your
is in
ghost?
London.
Okay, good.
And so, London, ghosts.
Yes, of course.
London,
ghosts
obviously.
everywhere. That place is crazy with ghosts.
Haunted. Yeah. And I saw a person stand up. I was like, oh, they're not enjoying this bit, or maybe they need to go to the bathroom, whatever. I've noted they've stood up. Okay, and then I looked back and I was like, actually, what they're wearing is kind of crazy. They're in this Victorian-looking child's dress that's very white and bright, which is why I noticed them in the first place. And this is all happening in this moments of seconds. It's very fast. And then I look back and go, and they're gone. How? Where did they? They couldn't have gotten up the stairs that fast. They couldn't have. Could have been a ghost. I don't know. And I asked the theatre manager who'd been there for years and years and said, this is what happened. I hear the place is haunted. Is it this ghost? And they went, no, but we do get people coming from Phantom of the Opera in costume sometimes to the wrong show. Like, could have been that. I think it was a ghost.
There you go. I mean, I'm willing to go ghost for you, on behalf of you.
Thank you.
You do have a very cool thing happening. Your Succession co-star, Kieran Culkin, is doing Glengarry. Glenn Ross, he's wonderful in that. I was lucky enough to see it. Have you guys had time to sort of talk about what it's like to be doing this at the same time?
Yeah, snatches of time, moments. Like after the show, sometimes we've been able to go get a drink, or like people have come and seen the show. Actually, some people come and see the show at stage door and like have given things to him to give to me for when he sees me next, which is kind of sweet. Or we've signed the same thing, or it's been a funny kind of like passing notes across Broadway kind of feeling.
It's very cool. It's a very cool thing. I think, especially after the triumph of Succession, I think for audiences to see you guys like doing something like this is really it's special.
Yeah, it feels really like a journey beyond the family of that show, and to go like, oh, my brother's just performing down the road. Oh, yeah cool. Yeah.
It's nice to think like, what happened to those characters after Succession? Like both went on to be very successful
on
Broadway actors.
Can you imagine?
It was like not.
That would be so.
That would be a very unpredictable. Thank you so much for being here. It was great
pleasure.
to see you. Congrats on the nomination. Sarah Snook, everybody. The Picture of Dorian Gray is playing at the Music Box Theater on Broadway. We'll be right back with Glenn Howerton.